Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that can change your life. The most powerful force you can ever master is not your circumstances, not your bank account, not your connections. It's your mind. If you can train your mind to stay calm, you can conquer anything. See, anybody can smile when things are going their way. Anybody can feel good when the money's right, the family's tight, and doors are opening like automatic glass at a fancy hotel. But what happens when the pressure comes? What happens when the storm hits? When the people you counted on walk away? When your plans fall through? When the phone call brings bad news? That's where the separation begins. That's where the trained mind steps in. Calm is a decision, not a condition. Most people believe that calmness is something that comes naturally when everything around them is going well. They think peace is the result of a quiet environment, a comfortable lifestyle, or a lack of problems. But that mindset is why so many people never truly experience real, unshakable peace. Because the truth is, calm has nothing to do with your surroundings and everything to do with your decision making. Calm doesn't show up when life gets easier. It shows up when you get stronger. When you decide to be calm, you take authority over your emotions instead of letting your emotions take authority over you. You stop giving your circumstances the right to dictate your attitude. You stop letting people who didn't create your value define your worth. You stop allowing situations you can't control to control what you think, say, and do. That is what it means to decide to be calm. It's not passive, it's powerful. It takes strength to stay calm when everything is trying to shake you. It takes maturity to respond with patience when anger would be easier. It takes confidence to stay steady when everything around you is screaming for your attention. The world loves noise. The world celebrates chaos. Social media teaches people to react instantly, to post their feelings, to vent their emotions. But reaction is not leadership. Reaction is not strength. Reaction is not wisdom. Calm is. The decision to be calm is the decision to live from the inside out, not from the outside in. It's the decision to build a mindset so solid that no matter what the world throws at you, it hits your shield and not your soul. That kind of peace is built in the quiet. It's built in the moments when nobody else is watching. It's built when you wake up in the morning and speak peace over your day before the noise even begins. It's built when you choose not to let one bad moment define the rest of your day. It's built when you stop chasing comfort and start chasing character. There will always be situations you can't control. People will say things that hurt. Plans will fall apart. Delays will come. Disappointments will hit you. That's life. But none of that is permission to lose your calm. Because when you lose your calm, you give up your clarity. You give up your focus. You give up your power. And when you lose your power, you start making emotional decisions that cost time, money, relationships, and opportunities. But when you truly decide to stay calm, you gain control. Not control of the world, but control of yourself. And that's where your strength lives. That's where your wisdom flows. That's where your creativity thrives. Calmness sharpens your mind. It keeps you centered. It allows you to listen better, think deeper, and lead stronger. You stop reacting to every situation like it's an emergency and start responding with authority, strategy, and vision. The greatest leaders, the most successful people, the most impactful voices, they all have one thing in common. They've trained themselves to stay calm, not because everything is perfect, but because they made a decision, a real decision. And when you make that same decision over and over, day after day, it becomes part of you. It becomes your default. You stop being driven by drama and start being driven by purpose. You stop looking for peace and start becoming it. Your power is in your peace, not your panic. Panic is loud, chaotic, and frantic. It looks busy, it feels urgent, it gives the illusion of momentum, but it's momentum in the wrong direction. Panic convinces you that something must be done immediately, that there's no time to think, only time to act. And that's where most people go wrong. Because real power doesn't live in panic. It lives in the stillness, in the calm, in the deliberate decisions made when the mind is steady and the spirit is anchored. Panic is a trap. It tricks you into thinking that urgency equals importance. But most of what you panic about isn't urgent or important. It's just unfamiliar. It's just uncomfortable. Panic thrives in the unknown. It feeds on your fear. It clouds your vision and confuses your intuition. It disconnects you from the very strength you need to move forward. And when you're in panic mode, you can't hear the solutions. You can't see the opportunities. You miss the breakthrough because all your energy is being wasted on reacting instead of responding. Peace is different. Peace doesn't shout. Peace doesn't rush. Peace gives you access to clarity. It opens the door to wisdom. When your mind is at peace, you start to see things differently. You begin to realize that not every problem is a crisis. Not every challenge is a threat. And not every delay is a denial. Peace gives you the patience to wait, the vision to discern, and the courage to move with precision instead of pressure. It's not about being passive. It's about being purposeful. Power doesn't come from being the loudest person in the room. It comes from being the most grounded. The person who doesn't flinch under pressure. The person who stays focused when the environment is chaotic. The person who keeps building when everyone else is breaking. That kind of person carries a different energy. You can feel it when they walk in the room. It's not arrogance, it's authority. It's not ego, it's certainty. And that certainty comes from peace. You don't get peace from your environment. You don't get it from people's approval or from everything going your way. You build peace internally. You build it through practice, through prayer, through self-discipline, through choosing every single day to quiet the noise in your mind so that your purpose can rise louder than your panic. Peace is not passive. It is a skill, a discipline, and a weapon. And when you learn to wield it, nothing can stop you. A peaceful mind makes powerful moves. A peaceful mind doesn't need validation to know it's on the right path. It doesn't fold under pressure or get distracted by drama. It knows how to wait, how to listen, how to act with precision. That kind of peace gives you the ability to navigate storms without letting the storm inside of you. It gives you the ability to take hits without losing your focus. It gives you the strength to face uncertainty with confidence because your foundation isn't built on feelings, it's built on truth. When panic rises, you must be the one to bring peace, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. Because panic spreads, but so does peace. When others see you stay calm in the fire, they start to believe they can too. When you respond with peace instead of panic, you set a new tone, a new standard, a new rhythm. Peace turns you into a thermostat, not a thermometer. You set the atmosphere instead of reacting to it. You walk in with power not because you control everything, but because you've mastered the one thing that truly matters, yourself. Discipline trains the mind, emotions derail it. The mind is like a muscle. If you don't train it, it won't grow. If you don't guide it, it will wander. And when the mind is undisciplined, emotions take over. Emotions are powerful, but they are also unpredictable. They fluctuate with mood, with environment, with external pressure. When your life is led by emotion, you're not in control. Your feelings are. And feelings were never meant to lead. They were meant to signal, to alert, to give insight. But leadership, that's the job of discipline. Discipline says, I feel it, but I won't follow it. It says, this situation may frustrate me, but I choose how I respond. It says, I don't let my emotions make my decisions. I let my vision lead. When you are disciplined in your mind, you respond instead of react. You pause instead of explode. You think before you speak. And that doesn't come naturally. It comes through repetition, through daily choices, through intentional mental training. Most people want results without routine. They want peace without practice. They want growth without guidance. But it doesn't work like that. You can't wake up and expect your mind to be ready for pressure if you haven't prepared it. You can't wait for the crisis to figure out how to stay calm. You have to put in the work when things are quiet so you can stand strong when things get loud. That's the essence of discipline. It's not about control for the sake of control. It's about preparation. It's about power. It's about purpose. An emotional mind is like a storm, unpredictable, unstable, and dangerous. One wrong thought can lead to one wrong decision that creates a ripple effect of regret. One unchecked emotion can destroy a conversation, a relationship, a business deal, and the worst part, when it's over, you realize the damage didn't have to happen. It happened because the mind wasn't anchored, because discipline wasn't in place. Discipline creates distance between stimulus and response. It gives you a buffer, a moment to breathe, a moment to think. And in that space, you regain your power. You can assess what's really happening. You can ask better questions. You can make better decisions. Without discipline, you're a slave to whatever you feel in the moment. But with discipline, you become the master of your mind. And once you've mastered your mind, you can master any environment. Training the mind requires intention. It requires practice. You have to put yourself in situations that challenge your patience, your focus, your resilience. You have to decide every day to feed your mind with truth instead of noise. You have to reject the temptation to act on every emotion and instead choose alignment with your goals, your values, your vision. That's the work. That's the training ground. And it's not glamorous. It's not flashy, but it's what separates the people who talk about change from the ones who create it. Emotions aren't the enemy. They're signals. They tell you what's going on, but they don't get to tell you what to do. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline listens to emotion, but chooses wisdom. It honors how you feel, but doesn't hand over the keys to your future. Because the moment your emotions start driving, they'll take you off course. And once you're off course, it takes double the effort to get back. The real strength lies in the ability to feel deeply and still remain focused, to hurt and still move forward, to be afraid and still take the next step. That doesn't come from hype or temporary motivation. It comes from mental training, from doing the hard things consistently, from making the decision over and over again that your mind will not be ruled by how you feel, but by who you are becoming. Calm creates clarity in chaos. In the middle of pressure, noise, and uncertainty, the person who remains calm becomes the one who sees what others miss. When everyone is reacting, panicking, scrambling for answers, the calm mind becomes a lighthouse, still, steady, and focused. Chaos doesn't blur vision, panic does. The situation may be messy, the timeline may be tight, the stakes may be high, but none of those things require confusion. Confusion is the result of a clouded mind, not a complicated circumstance. A calm mind can break down a problem into parts. A calm mind can separate emotion from fact. A calm mind can identify what's urgent and what's just loud. In chaos, most people default to survival mode. They look for the fastest way out, not the smartest way through. But the fastest way out often leads to more damage, more setbacks, and more regret. Calmness gives you space to evaluate. It allows you to zoom out, to gain perspective, to ask the right questions instead of just answering the wrong ones faster. The world we live in rewards speed, but speed without direction is dangerous. Calm is what gives speed its meaning. Calm says, don't just move, move with intention. Don't just act with awareness. Don't just speak with understanding. The person who can remain calm in the storm is the one who can lead others out of it. That's not a personality trait. It's a choice. It's a practice. It's a form of mastery. Clarity is not something that appears on its own. It's created. It's built in the space where fear doesn't have permission to speak louder than purpose. In chaos, fear is often the loudest voice in the room. It exaggerates the problem. It magnifies the pressure. It triggers insecurity and doubt. But when you are calm, you silence fear's megaphone. You turn down the volume on panic and turn up the volume on truth. There is always an opportunity hidden inside every challenge, but you will only see it if your mind is clear. Panic closes your eyes to the possibilities. Calm opens them. Panic makes you reactive. Calm makes you responsive. Panic leads to impulsive decisions. Calm leads to wise ones. The difference between failure and breakthrough often isn't intelligence, talent, or even resources. It's clarity. And clarity can only be accessed when calmness is present. In chaotic environments, people follow the voice that brings peace. Not false peace, not fake positivity, but real, grounded calm. The kind that isn't shaken by the noise around it because it's anchored in something deeper. Calm is not the absence of challenge. It's the presence of control. It's the quiet confidence that says, this moment will not define me. I will define this moment. A clear mind doesn't just help you think better. It helps you feel better. It reduces stress. It protects your health. It builds better communication. It helps you see people as they are, not as your fear paints them to be. It helps you lead with compassion and strategy at the same time. It keeps you from making permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. Clarity is freedom. Freedom from confusion, from overwhelm, from self-sabotage, and that freedom is born in calm. There is a rhythm to every problem, a code to every situation, and a solution buried in every mess. But you can't hear the rhythm, see the code, or uncover the solution if your mind is spinning. The moment you breathe, the moment you still yourself, the fog begins to lift, and what felt overwhelming starts to make sense. What felt impossible begins to look manageable. What felt like the end becomes the turning point. Calm creates that shift. Calm builds that bridge. Calm turns chaos into opportunity. An unshakable mind builds an unstoppable life. Life will test you, not once, not twice, but over and over again. It will throw unexpected losses, sudden changes, and painful disappointments your way. There is no path without obstacles, no dream without pressure, no success without resistance. What separates those who rise from those who fall isn't what they go through, it's what they grounded in. An unshakable mind doesn't mean you never feel pressure. It means pressure doesn't move you from your principles, your purpose, or your peace. When your mind is unshakable, you don't fall apart every time something goes wrong. You don't abandon your values when emotions run high. You don't shrink when the results don't come immediately. You understand that stability comes from within, not from circumstances. The world may shift, people may change, seasons may come and go, but your mindset stays locked in. You keep building, you keep believing, you keep moving with purpose. Most people look for external control, control over timing, control over others, control over outcomes. But the truth is, all that is temporary and often unreliable. The only real control you have is over your thoughts, your beliefs, and your choices. When your mind is trained to be steady, nothing can knock you off course for long. Disappointment might slow you down, but it won't stop you. Criticism might sting, but it won't silence you. Delay might test your patience, but it won't destroy your faith. An unshakable mind is the result of consistent work. It's not inherited. It's not about personality. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about choosing every day to strengthen your focus, your faith, and your fortitude. It's about making truth louder than fear. It's about anchoring yourself in something deeper than what you see or feel. You build it through repetition, through challenges that force you to grow, through setbacks that sharpen your resolve, through adversity that reveals who you really are. The most powerful people in the world are not those who control others. They're the ones who have mastered self-control. They've trained their minds to respond instead of react. They've developed the discipline to hold their peace in a storm. They've built the internal foundation that success needs to stand on, because talent without mental strength will crumble under pressure. Opportunity without a steady mindset will be wasted, and wealth without wisdom will vanish. An unshakable mind doesn't just survive hardship, it uses it. It extracts lessons. It gains perspective. It builds muscle. It doesn't let fear of failure dictate the pace. It doesn't let opinions change direction. It's not easily distracted by the noise of the world because it's tuned into a higher frequency. While others chase validation, the unshakable mind stays focused on vision. While others panic, it plans. While others complain, it creates. That's the kind of mind that builds an unstoppable life. Nothing can truly stop you if your mind is set on growth, set on excellence, set on rising even if it's slow, set on progress, not perfection, set on peace, not panic. You won't be perfect. You'll feel things deeply. You'll have moments of doubt, but your foundation won't break. You'll adjust, adapt, and advance. That's the mark of someone who's unshakable. Not that they never fall, but that they never stay down. Unshakable people think differently. They don't wait for things to get easy. They prepare for things to get harder and still choose to show up. They don't let temporary circumstances steal long-term vision. They're not driven by feelings. They're driven by values, by clarity, by purpose. And because they've trained their minds, they can withstand storms that would have destroyed them in the past. They become the kind of people others look to when things fall apart. They become builders of legacy, not just collectors of wins.